There is a kind of strength that does not rush, does not beg, and does not force. It listens, it steadies itself, and it trusts. Do not force anything. Let go and trust. Everything will come to you. This deep quote offers a healing touch for one of the greatest illnesses of our time, the constant urgency to make everything happen. But what if I told you that nothing truly meant for you in life needs to be forced? What if what belongs in your destiny arrives not when you demand it, but when you are ready for it? Have you ever stopped to think about how much emotional exhaustion comes from trying to control timing, people, and outcomes? Today, you are about to discover a quiet and powerful art that very few people master. The art of waiting without anxiety. Because when you stop chasing things in desperation, you begin to naturally attract what is truly yours. What is meant for you does not run away from you, but you must also stop running and learn to trust. Before we go deeper, I want to make one thing clear. You do not need to become desperate to receive what you want. You do not need to live in anxiety, to stay in constant motion, or to demand more from yourself than you can carry. What is real does not arrive when you force it. It arrives when you are ready. It arrives when your inner preparation comes into alignment with the opportunities appearing outside of you. And that balance is not built through panic. It is built through patience, vision, and consistency. Patience is a strategic virtue. How many times have you felt that you could not wait one more second, that you had already done enough, that you deserved to see results, that everything should be happening right now? That sense of urgency tightens your chest, creates anxiety, and can even make you doubt the path you are on. But let me tell you something that can change the way you live. Patience is not surrender. Patience is power. It is strategy. It is wisdom applied to real life. I am not talking about passive patience, the kind that folds its arms and waits for a miracle. I'm talking about active, conscious, determined patience, the kind that gets up every day, does what must be done, and lets go of the need to control the outcome. The kind of patience that trusts the process more than it trusts urgency. The kind that knows that what is truly valuable never arrives instantly. Think of a tree. No matter how much you water it, you cannot speed up its growth. If you overwater it, you suffocate it. If you expose it to too much light or keep moving it from place to place every week to force the process, you weaken it. So what is the wisest attitude you can take toward that tree? Care for it consistently, but respect its rhythm. Understand that the strength that will keep it standing later is being formed now, in silence, beneath the soil. The same is true for you. Every day you remain steady without visible results, you are growing roots. Every time you choose calm instead of anxiety, you strengthen your character. Every moment you stop trying to force life's rhythm and decide to trust it, you are growing. And real growth, solid growth, takes time. Everything that happens too quickly is fragile. Everything that truly supports you takes time to form. When impatience knocks on your door, do this. Stop. Take a deep breath. Repeat this in your mind. I am exactly where I need to be. I am doing what I need to do. And what is mine will come in its own time. That sentence is not just emotional comfort. It is a mental reprogramming. It reminds your speeding mind that true value is not found in rushing, but in moving with awareness, not in following a pressured rhythm, but in continuing in the right rhythm. You do not need to know everything. You do not need to do everything. You do not need to be everywhere. What you truly need is to discover what actually matters, what moves you, what strengthens you, and what brings you peace. And once you discover that, you begin to let go. You stop carrying what is not yours. You stop living to please everyone else. You stop filling every second of your day just because you are afraid of silence. Simplicity is not poverty. It is inner richness. It is lightness. It is the ability to choose. It is looking at your day and asking yourself, what do I really need today? What can I let go of? What is not good for me? And answering honestly. Because most of the time, the problem is not what is missing. The problem is what is excessive. Unnecessary obligations, perfectionism, comparison, the pressure you place on yourself, all of it creates a mental cloud that keeps you from seeing what is right in front of you. Real wisdom is found in reducing what is unnecessary, so that what is truly valuable can be seen. It is living with such clarity that your mind is no longer scattered, your actions are no longer contradictory, and your energy becomes fully aligned. Do you want less anxiety? Simplify. Do you want more focus? Remove distractions. Do you want to move forward? Stop carrying what is not yours. Everything begins when you choose to live with less, but with greater quality. Less drama, less noise, less need to prove something. More peace, more essence, more direction. When you learn to say no, you are not becoming selfish. You are becoming wise. You are protecting your mental peace. You are saying, this space is sacred. This time is valuable. This energy will not be wasted. And that is one of the most powerful decisions you can ever make. No person and no thing is truly yours. And you do not truly belong to any person or thing either. The sooner you understand that, the more freely you live. Because in essence, everything you try to cling to is temporary by nature. People change. Circumstances evolve. Objects wear out. Life keeps moving. And if you become attached to the belief that something can be owned forever, controlled forever, or held in place forever, then suffering becomes inevitable. Because sooner or later, what you love will change. Not out of cruelty, not as punishment, simply because that is the nature of life. You learn to say, my spouse, my job, my home, my children, my body. And without realizing it, you turned the word my into a prison. You were taught to believe that possession is the key to feeling safe. But attachment is often a trap that locks you inside fear. The fear of losing, the fear of change, the fear of letting go. And very often, the anxiety of losing what you have becomes worse than the loss itself. So when you begin to fear losing someone or something, tell yourself this: enjoy it while it is here, but do not suffer when it is gone. Because if it is meant to stay, it will stay. And if it is meant to leave, no attachment will stop it. That idea is not meant to erase your emotions. It is meant to expand them. It teaches you to love without fear, to live without constant anxiety, and to let go without guilt. Emotional freedom begins when you stop depending on everything staying the same in order to feel peaceful. It begins when you learn to move with change without breaking. And now I need to speak to you about the power of surrendering to the natural flow of life. Have you ever asked yourself why you so often feel drained, disappointed, or as if you are rowing against a current that never calms down? The answer is very simple. Because you are forcing. You are trying to push life when what you need is to let it flow. We were taught that we must fight for everything, control every step, and have a plan for every second. But almost no one taught us the most powerful art of all, the art of surrender. Not surrender as defeat, not surrender as giving up, but surrender as trust, surrender as wisdom. Surrender as the deep conviction that the universe has a perfect rhythm and that you do not need to go to war against it. Look at your life. How many times did something fail to happen the way you wanted, and at first it hurt, but with time you realized it was the best thing that could have happened? How many times did you force a relationship, a decision, or a change, only to lose your peace and your energy in the process? That is the difference between controlling and trusting, between forcing and staying in flow. When you understand this, something inside you begins to align. You stop moving from panic and start moving from a different place, a calmer place, a stronger place, a wiser place. Trustful surrender reminds us that we cannot control events, but we can control how we respond to them. And sometimes, the strongest response is not resistance, it is release. Surrendering to the natural flow of life does not mean giving up. It is a spiritual intelligence. It means saying, I trust. Even if I do not understand it right now, I trust that everything has an order. I trust that what is meant for me does not need to be forced. I trust that when I stop pushing, life will carry me exactly where I need to be. Yes, this is difficult, because the ego wants control. It wants guarantees, fast results, and certainty. But the soul does not work that way. The soul is not in a hurry. The soul knows how to wait. So when you feel yourself losing your calm, when you notice that you are trying to force something that is not flowing, stop, breathe, and ask yourself, am I doing this from anxiety or from trust? Because if it is coming from anxiety, then you have already disconnected from yourself. You are already at war with life. And in that state, there is neither peace nor real results. Look at nature. Nothing there is in a hurry. A river does not flow faster because it is anxious. A tree does not bloom before the right season. Everything has a rhythm. And when you become synchronized with that rhythm, life stops feeling like a struggle and begins to feel like a dance. So today I invite you to surrender to the present moment, to stop demanding from life what you think you need and begin accepting what is truly meant for you. To release tension, expectations, and urgency. Because when you do that, everything changes. Your body relaxes, your mind becomes quiet, your decisions become clearer, and without even noticing it, you begin to move forward not through strain, but through lightness. This is where true power lives, not in controlling what is outside of you, but in trusting your inner ability to adapt, to flow, and to respond with balance. Because real power does not shout, does not fight, and does not force. Real power is calm, it is patient, it is quiet, but unstoppable. It is the power that knows how to wait, that moves at the right moment, that does not waste energy fighting what cannot be changed, and that transforms what can be changed, with awareness and peace. And when you live this way, miracles happen, not because you forced them, but because you allowed them. Because when you stop fighting against the current, you are finally carried to where you were meant to be all along. And there, everything begins to make sense. There is nothing wrong with being ambitious. Desperation is the problem. Wanting more, dreaming big, growing, surpassing yourself, and achieving greater things is natural. It is human. The problem begins when ambition becomes contaminated by desperation. When you become trapped in questions like when, how, why has it not happened yet? What was once an inner strength turns into a burden, into a constant anxiety that steals your peace, your focus, and even your joy in the journey. If you made it this far, it means you are ready to stop forcing, ready to trust more, and ready to live with less anxiety. So before you leave, strengthen this intention. Go to the comments and write with faith, "Today I choose patience instead of anxiety." Let that sentence be carved into your mind and your heart. Because every time you choose patience over control, you train your true inner power. And if this message touched you, do not forget to like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Quiet Psychology so we can keep growing together on this path of wisdom. What do you think about this subject? Share your thoughts in the comments.